So the stock market has been doing significantly better than the April lows. Almost all the stocks in the entire market, including the large cap, small cap, mid cap, all the stocks were just very washed out and things were looking very grim. There's two stocks that I want to talk about today that seem to have a lot of upside potential even from here. And the only way they're related is the fact that they're tech stocks. One is BigBear.Ai and the other is IonQ. And I'm going to talk about both of them as a company. I'm going to look at recent news and then we'll take a quick look at some price analysis. I also want to just cover also what happened in the market today. So let's jump right in. So I have the stock heat map pulled up today and we see in the finance sector, there was some sell-off and just some flat trading. We see that technology did pretty well today. Nvidia had a bump, Microsoft had a bump, Amazon did really well. And we see that Apple, after their WWDC, actually sold off a little bit. So I think investors were looking for more on the AI front and they were not getting it. And they are tired of Siri being broken. We can also see that AMD and Palantir both had really nice days. So some growth stocks doing really well that don't have as high of a market cap. On our quantum watch list, we see that LAES has a $3.91 price point, which we know we've talked about $3.88 on this channel so many times. So it actually closed above that $3.88. I'll actually have a specific video on LAES coming out tomorrow morning before market. So stay tuned for that. If you want to see it, turn notifications on. And I will specifically be doing a deep dive into SEALSQ. I actually picked up more today and I'm very excited. We saw that QUBT had a 4% day. IonQ, one of the stocks we'll be talking about today, had a 2.67% day. And down the watch list, Quantum did quite well with some sell-off and a healthy pullback in D-Wave Quantum, QBTS. Okay, so let's talk about BigBear.Ai. The bullet points with BigBear.Ai is AI is a hot theme in the stock market. AI is going to change the world. So companies that are doing AI on a high level are going to financially benefit. They're going to provide value to companies. They're going to provide critical infrastructure, critical decision and intelligence. And BigBear finds itself at the center of being able to offer some of these services through their AI and AI solutions. We saw today after market that JFK Terminal 4 has introduced a new passenger processing system, and JFK is a very large airport in the US. They just launched measures aimed at easing passenger flow during the busy summer season. Central to these is the introduction of an enhanced passenger process designed in collaboration with US Customs and Border Protection and technology provided by BigBear.Ai. And then we have a quote here from Kevin McEllennan, CEO of BigBear. BigBear is proud to support John F. Kennedy International Airport Terminal 4 with proven facial comparison solutions for the enhanced passenger process. Our mission is to help modernize airport operations by enhancing both efficiency and security, ensuring a seamless and safe experience for travelers and airport partners alike. Probably if you've traveled recently, you've probably seen that they take your picture and they take your ID. And at some of the airports, the underlying software for that is BigBear.Ai. And they use their artificial intelligence to not only match you to your identity, but also secure the border in different ways. So detecting anomalies or perhaps false identities or other things. So BigBear finds itself in more and more airports, and some people call it Big Brother AI. I call it Big Bear, Big Baby AI. And we also know that BigBear joined as a Space Isaac member. And this was just 5 days ago. So they're also getting into the space industry. We know that there's connections to the current administration, and they've secured some pretty good contracts over the last 7 months. So we're just kind of following the breadcrumbs. Investors tend to have to work with a limited set of information. Once you know everything, once the speculation is over, the stock price typically much higher. So when you're early into a company like this, then there tends to be a lack of clarity around potentially what will their finances do, what will they get another contract, that type of thing. But if you make your position and you actively bet that they will figure it out, then you get to enjoy the gains when the rest of the world makes their position. So that's the beauty of the stock market, is being early. And I'm a big Bear investor. I have long positions in multiple accounts, and I believe this company has, even if it has the potential to be 1/10 of Palantir, that's amazing, because there's amazing upside from here. The stock closed today at $3.90. So we've drawn this rising support on the channel before. It's kind of not really relevant anymore because the rising support it's broken through that rising support. So now what we're seeing is we're seeing a pattern of bunch of buying and then sell down, bunch of buying and sell down. And we're in a consolidation pattern here. Now, if we go back, if you really wanted to stretch your imagination, perhaps this is a bull flag, the sort of pattern we're seeing on the chart, which is an indication of consolidation into a hyper fixed range and then an explosion to the upside. And I think a lot of investors are expecting that Big Bear, just with a new contract, a new partnership, it's like kind of a Tinder box, just waiting for that spark. And that's how it's been, not just for the last few days, but really for the last month. Big Bear has been making its move. It's had high wick touches. We see that it actually posted a lower high recently. The highest that this rally has gone is here. We see volume is still pretty good. And if we look at the last 5 days of trading, this stock was at 441 before sell-off, I believe on some dilution. And now there was some recovery the next day. And now we're just kind of hanging out at this 391. But 391 is pretty darn close to 4. And 4 is pretty darn close to the doorstep on which Big Bear historically made its crazy run, right? So we see in the price history that once it climbed above 4, it wasn't too long before it made this 150% or so move to the upside. So from a technical standpoint, I think the rising support might be more accurately drawn from perhaps this rally to here. It's more of a flat slope versus a straight up as we had before. So as long as it stays above 377 and hangs around this 390, even if it consolidates for a little while, it does appear that Big Bear wants to move to the upside. And we could see it doing something like this and coming back to that previous, so that $5 position. And would it be nice if we could get some history at $5, if this stock could hold a $5 position before moving up, and maybe it wouldn't go all the way back up to 10, but on any catalyst, I think this stock could move up. Now, in a shifting macro or a bearish scenario, the stock could also move back down. It has plenty of price history below $3. And we know that's kind of since about December, when it reached this 255 point. 239 was its bottom in April. And it certainly moved back down to that point a couple times. So that's always the caution with trading tickers like this. I'm not a financial advisor. I'm just an enthusiastic investor. I do this for information and entertainment, but the best thing you can do is do your own due diligence. And watching a YouTube video, while exciting, isn't enough due diligence. You actually have to research the company and understand what you're investing in, so you have convictions and you understand the risk reward. So there's sort of the bear case where it will move back down if there was some shift in the macro or some black swan event. There's the base case where it just kind of hangs around and builds up more price history, which I would consider very bullish at this $3.90 to $4 level. And there's this bull case where it comes to 5 and uses 4 as support and moves its way up to potentially at some point retest its all-time highs. Okay, we're shifting gears into IonQ. And IonQ, they call themselves the best quantum company, the most commercial quantum company. They call themselves the Nvidia of quantum. And at one point in the calendar year, the stock could be purchased for less than $20 a share. It's up to over $40 a share. So it's doubled since even April. But we've seen some really an acceleration in headlines, and IonQ tends to be bursty. Like we don't hear from them for a while, and then suddenly it's headline after headline after headline. So I went and marked up a couple of these articles. Let's just take a look. So IonQ today announced they are going to buy Oxford Ionics in a $1 billion deal as an acquisition. So they've agreed to buy Oxford Ionics in a deal valued at $1 billion. IonQ's vision has always been to drive real-world impact in every area and year of quantum computing's growth. Today's announcement of our intention to acquire Oxford Ionics accelerates our mission to a full fault-tolerant quantum computer with 2 million physical qubits and 80,000 logical qubits by 2030. Wow, if they can get anywhere near those numbers by 2030, that would be insane. It would be insane. This company will be so valuable if they can actually pull that off. Oxford Ionics' groundbreaking ion trap on a chip technology will accelerate IonQ's commercial quantum computer miniaturization and global delivery. We also saw that IonQ had another big headline. IonQ speeds quantum accelerated drug development application with AstraZeneca, AWS, and Nvidia. So a leading quantum computing and networking company. I like how they say quantum computing and networking, because a lot of people miss in this conversation. There's also the quantum internet and quantum networking and end-to-end quantum safe communication. They've announced the results of a collaborative research program between IonQ, AstraZeneca, Amazon Web Services, and Nvidia to develop and demonstrate a quantum accelerated computational chemistry workflow, which has the potential to power world-changing innovation in healthcare, life sciences, chemistry, and more. And this is what I get excited about when it comes to quantum. I had family history, family members passing away from different cancers and ailments. And if there's a way for quantum computing to accelerate our research in healthcare, that could fundamentally change the world. That could literally save lives. That's not hyperbole. The demonstration with AstraZeneca represents a meaningful step towards practical quantum computing applications in chemistry and material science, and showcases how IonQ's enterprise-grade quantum computers are uniquely suited to meet the challenge. Future quantum computers are not going to replace traditional compute, but instead accelerate specific computationally intensive processing steps as part of HPC processing pipelines. Again, a nuance that's often missed in this conversation. You're not going to go out and buy a quantum computer to play Fortnite at 8,000 frames per second. These are machines that will complement existing supercomputer stacks and hopefully accelerate them in a significant and meaningful way. Bringing together state-of-the-art quantum and GPU computing and hybrid workflows is the path to realizing quantum's potential. And we hear this from Tim Costa, Senior Director of Quantum at Nvidia. So we're hearing from Nvidia. We're starting to hear a lot from Nvidia on quantum. We also know that GTC Paris is coming up. GTC Paris is June 10th to June 12th. And we know that Nvidia CEO on the earnings call, Jensen Huang, mentioned quantum twice. He mentioned that quantum will be a part of the modern supercomputing stack. So a CPU plus a GPU plus a QPU. He also mentioned in the earnings call 2 times, brought up quantum and quantum technologies. And his closing remark was, we're going to talk more about quantum at GTC Paris. We look forward to telling you more. So lots of exciting developments. And when you see one of the leaders of the biggest tech company in the entire world talking about quantum, that's something to get excited about. This headline is old, as in 6 days ago this happened. So IonQ completes acquisition of LightSync, accelerating quantum computing and networking roadmap. So IonQ announced the successful completion of its acquisition of LightSync Technologies, a Boston-based startup specializing in photonic interconnects and quantum memory. This strategic acquisition accelerates IonQ's fault-tolerant quantum computing roadmap and advances progress towards the development of the quantum internet. With this acquisition, we're not just acquiring talent and technology, we're accelerating our development timeline to fault-tolerant quantum computers and long-distance networking capabilities. So they aren't just playing in the hardware space, they're also playing in the networking space, which does have a hardware component, but they want to essentially create this quantum internet. And we heard them talk about this at CES in 2024. This deal accelerates the shift from experimental bulk optics to scalable optical chips, moving us closer to commercializing our next generation of quantum technologies and quantum internet. IonQ is already a leader in enterprise-grade quantum computing and networking, and by joining forces, we're accelerating the path to modular architectures that will deliver data center scale quantum computers in the future. Our work will enable IonQ's system to network at speed and scale, laying the foundation for distributed quantum computing. So really a flurry of bullish news, of really positive news coming from IonQ, and they are already the self-proclaimed leader in this space. And by stock price, they certainly are. And by revenue and financials, they certainly are. Are they the Nvidia of quantum computing? It does appear that they are strengthening themselves with these acquisitions and their product roadmap and their goals and targets to make themselves a leader in this space. So it is still very early for a company like IonQ, believe it or not. So that being said, let's go into the chart and take a look at what their chart has been looking like and how sentiment has changed. So we're looking at the last year of IonQ. And in September of 24, you could have bought into this company at $8 a share. That opportunity was long gone with the announcement of Google Willow, when the stock exploded from those single digit and low double digit all the way up to over $50 a share, 55. I think the wick touched 55. And then when Jensen made the comments that quantum computers were 15 to 30 years away, the stock dropped almost 50% overnight and came down to 28. It recovered and then sold down much more. In fact, this was one of the stocks that did well initially, recovered well after Jensen's comments, but then sold off even more aggressively than other stocks. And IonQ historically had a really, really hard time getting above this 28 point. And there were multiple opportunities in April of this year, March and April, to purchase IonQ under $18 a share. And now we see that it has moved up today into this $40 price point, which has been a pretty critical price level. So if we look at this price range between 40 and 48, this is the price history we have. We have just a little bit of price history before the quantum crash. We have a little bit after. And then finally, we had this bullish rally in the recent weeks, some sell-off. And now we're seeing these new catalysts coming in, and we're seeing IonQ is the real deal. They're really making things happen. And I'm incredibly bullish on IonQ. I sold a little bit and took profit on this rally, but I'll be looking to add shares anywhere in this range of 40 to 48. And now what I want you all to consider is we only have a day or two of price history above $48. So that would be its all-time high. So once we get up here, let's say that over the coming weeks, IonQ does something like this and works its way back up. Once we get up here, we're in price discovery. We don't know how high this stock can go. So then we're talking about, could IonQ be $100 stock? Could it be a $200 stock? Could it be a $300 stock? If they keep increasing their revenue and making these partnerships, the free market will value the company as it sees fit as a disruptor. All right, guys. So that is everything I have for you. Two very different companies as far as market cap, but two interesting companies nonetheless that I personally invest both of my own money into these companies. I hope you found value in this. If you did, please leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. Do you invest in these companies? And what is your outlook for BigBear.Ai and IonQ? If I've earned it, leave a like. And if you want to, hit the subscribe button. Have a great day.